Good morning, friends. Thanks for joining me today. Actually got a couple of quick announcements this week, and then we'll get into this morning's devotional together. First of all, I want to just remind you guys that this coming Sunday morning, May 31st at 11 a.m., we're going to have an outdoor worship service together. Check our website or our e-bulletin for more information. We hope you guys can join us in person. You can social distance out on this grassy hillside with us. There are a few spots available to reserve to sit in your car and kind of participate in the service drive-in style. Or if you're just not ready to gather yet, you can watch later at home. We're going to record the service and we'll post it by 6 o'clock Sunday night. So we hope you guys can join us for that. All right, secondly, we are doing a survey this week. And so we're asking for all of our church members to give us input as we begin to think about and prepare for in-person services again. And so there's a lot to be considered. Your input is really important to us. Also, your prayers, we covet those big time. Please be praying for us as leaders as we think about and prayerfully approach wanting to have wisdom. We're excited. We're cautious. It's all of those things all at once. And so we really covet your prayers as we begin to think about next steps for our church and what's the right timing and approach to begin having in-person services again. So again, there's a survey we're sending out this week. Check your email. If you've not signed up for our emails, now's a perfect time to do that. It's easy to do. Go on to our website. You can subscribe there. And we would love to send you the survey and get your input on how we can safely reopen and what the right timing might be. All right, so we love you guys. We're excited to consider that. Okay, lastly, just wanted y'all to be aware, our Bible reading plan, we are finishing up the book of Job this week, and there's something a little unique we're doing because the next book in the Bible is the book of Psalms. Now, typically what we're doing this year is we're going one book at a time, reading through the entire Bible. And every time we start a new book of the Bible, there's an opportunity to watch a video from the Bible Project that gives a really cool overview of each book. Well, the unique thing about Psalms this year is that we're reading one Psalm every day along with our Bible reading. So we're not actually going to read through the entire book of Psalms all at once now because we're doing a little bit every day. But what we are going to do, since we finish Job tomorrow on Thursday, on Friday, we're just going to devote one day to the book of Psalms. And so we're going to read maybe the first couple Psalms again, but we would encourage you to go to our website, watch the Bible Project video. It'll give you a good overview of the book of Psalms. And then on Monday, we'll kick off in the book of Proverbs. So I hope that makes sense. Hang in there, guys. It's been awesome reading God's Word together, seeing what that's doing in our hearts. Seeing little individual stories and moments that are so key in the lives of God's people, but also seeing how the entire story of the Bible fits together and points to Jesus. And so hang in there with us if you've been reading faithfully. If you haven't, jump in. Start on Friday, do this little book of Psalms overview. Then next Monday morning, start with the book of Proverbs with us. It's just a great opportunity to be in God's Word together. All right. Now, today, I want to talk to you guys briefly, just one simple passage from Psalm 119. We're going to look at verses 45 and 55. I want to talk to you guys about this idea of freedom. You know, just a couple days ago on Monday, we were celebrating Memorial Day. And you know, it's a day of celebration, but really more than that, it's a day of remembrance. Friends, it's a time where we stop and consider the great sacrifice of those who have given their lives in order for us to receive and enjoy the freedoms that we have here in our country. Well, listen, they are a beautiful picture. They are a reflection of the ultimate life that was given to provide the ultimate freedom that we're meant to receive and enjoy. And so it's right that we remember and honor those who have given their lives for us. And it's also right and good that we consider who they're reflecting, who they're a picture of. And so I want to just encourage us this morning to consider a couple things related to the freedom that we have in Jesus and what that means for us. So let me read these couple of verses and then we'll talk through them. Psalm 119, verses 45 and then verse 55. I will walk in freedom, for I have devoted myself to your commandments. Verse 55. I reflect at night on who you are, O Lord. Therefore, I obey your instructions. What the psalmist is saying here is he's connecting freedom with obedience. If you're anything like me, that's the exact opposite of what I think of when I think of freedom. When I think of freedom, I think of doing what I want, when I want, how I want. But God's definition of freedom is something different than that. He understands that our true freedom lies in drawing from who God is and who He's therefore made me to be. That I will be my most free when I am who He's made me to be. And so let me walk through this with you guys really quick. 3 things to consider this morning. Number 1, freedom. The way that we get freedom, defined biblically, but I believe this applies in this world as well, the way that we get freedom is it comes from the one who has authority and power, and that person has to be willing to give it. Now, in our realm, in this earth, we have to fight for freedom because rarely does someone with the power or the authority want to willingly extend freedom to their subjects. In fact, Jesus said the leaders of this world, the rulers of this world, they lord it over us. They position themselves to rule and to reign and for us to be subject to them. But Jesus told His disciples, I'm not like that and you're not to be like that. If you're going to be the greatest, you're going to be the servant of all. And so He takes a different position. Listen, friends, we don't have to fight and strive for freedom any longer. Jesus has provided it, and He extends it to us willingly. He has all authority. He has all power, and He wants us to enjoy freedom. And so the way that we receive the freedom God has for us is by willingly choosing to submit to Him. And so that moves us into point 2. To really receive God's freedom is an act of trust. I'm trusting that the freedom He offers is good and it's real and it's available. I'm trusting in 2 key things about Him. All trust boils down to 2 things, all right? You can take this to the bank. Number 1, when I'm trusting someone, I'm relying on their competency, their ability. Do they have the intelligence to do what they say they can do? Do they have the power, the strength to do what they say they can do? What is their ability? And so when we're trusting God, we're relying on His ability to do what He says He can do. Is He strong enough? Is He smart enough? Is He able to actually offer true and lasting freedom? So it's an act of trust. But secondly, trust also involves the ability to rely on someone's character. Who are they? What are they like? They might have all the intelligence in the world, all the strength and authority in the world, but if they're a jerk, if they're untrustworthy, if they're selfishly motivated, I can't rely on them with any sense of real confidence. But listen, our God is big and strong and intelligent. He is fully capable, and His character is good. And that's why the psalmist says, it's not just that I walk in freedom by obeying His commandments. He says, I reflect on who you are, O Lord. Listen, one of the key ways that we can experience the freedom that God has for us is by developing our ability to trust in Him. And the way we develop that sense of trust is by getting to know who God is. Is He able, and is He of high character? Is He able, and what is His identity like? And so the psalmist says, Lord, I reflect on you regularly, consistently. I fall asleep pondering upon who you are. And then that leads to our third and final point this morning. We've already kind of referenced it a few times, but really simply, we experience freedom by learning to trust God, and then we obey Him. We obey Him. That's where we really, truly experience freedom. Guys, this goes so counter to our culture, and it goes so counter to our fleshly desires to fight for and obtain what I want. But the freedom that Jesus offers doesn't come from independence. It comes from dependence. And so here's how I obey God. Number one, I rely on Him. I rely on Him for the strength to do what He's asking me to do. That gets developed by learning to trust Him. And then I put it into action through obedience. And so I rely on Him to point me in the right direction, yes, to let me know what I should do, but I don't walk alone. He promises His presence and His Spirit to empower me. When we talk about the grace of God, we're not just talking about Him letting us off the hook from the wrong things that we've done. The grace of God is about more than that. It's His hand of favor. It's His presence in our lives, giving us the ability to do what we could never do on our own. And so obedience is about relying upon God. I also then rely upon Him to do what I can't do. There are many things that are outside of my control. And so I obey by doing what He's asked me to do and relying on Him to do it. And then I trust. And so I rely on Him to do what only He can do. And then the last piece of obedience is this, friends. When we're obeying God, this is doing something in the world around us. Because when we are obeying God, when we're trusting and relying upon Him, we're reflecting who He is. We're giving the world around us a picture of Jesus. And so, friends, I just want you to consider this week, how are you experiencing the freedom that God has offered? Are you feeling the need to fight and strive for freedom, to grab hold of it, to make sure it doesn't slip through your fingers? Or are you actively trusting the one who's given His life in order to extend freedom to you? Friends, are we learning to trust God by exploring and discovering what He's like, His character, His ability to care for us? And then thirdly, have I purposed in my heart to rely on Him in order to obey Him and to reflect Him to a world in need? Listen, friends, the world around us needs freedom. They need the freedom that Jesus offers. And I want you just to consider, when they look at you in your life, when they look at how you reflect what's important to you, what words come out of your mouth, what things do you type on your Facebook page, whatever. What are you reflecting out to the world around you? And does it draw them to the real Jesus, or does it repel them from Him? Guys, when we are experiencing the freedom that He offers and we begin to trust and obey Him, more and more our lives should reflect the glory and the goodness of God, who loves people and who works on our behalf to set us free. I love you, friends. Consider these things this week. Rely upon the Lord. Invite Him to reveal Himself to you in a new way, in a fresh way. And then don't forget, mark your calendar this Sunday. We'd love to worship together with you guys. We'll see you then. Have a great week.